Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. So today what I want to look at two things that can work as one. So optimizing your AMS and PPC just in an attempt to cut costs. There's obviously the obvious routes, but there are negatives as well. And then doing a very same or similar process, getting your business ready for exit, as obviously you want to maintain a good look when it comes to the buyer looking under the hood and that consistency leading up to sales of the business. So every time a client gets ready for sale, we need to take a look at their objectives and, of course, their desired outcomes. So everyone wants to cut their PPC spend, but of course there are many variables here that can have a negative impact in terms of your rankings and, of course, the consistency of sales. So, number one, the business owner needs to determine the priorities with regarding to growing or maintaining the profit, obviously your bottom line, versus your revenue, which is your top line. Number two, for PPC management, the above decisions need to be translated into your TACOS aims, which of course influence the product margins. Number three, depending on how granular you want to go, the TACOS aim can be set individually per listing. It cannot be set for individual child ASINs under the parent listing though, because for example, you may have one ASIN that is bringing in all the traffic, but the sales are going to all the child ASINs. So in such case, the one ASIN which has very high TACOS, the TACOS that matters is for the whole listing, therefore not for just the ASIN. So part four is a bit more in depth here. So if you're trying to grow the bottom line by limiting ad spend, how should you go about it? So there's many variables here to look at. So the challenge here is we probably need to reduce advertising in places where it's actually already working well. But bear with me. And this involves some tough trade-offs. So we need to ask ourselves, what's the most effective way to spend a smaller amount of money? So the first obvious thing to do is allow for continued spend on your high conversion rate and low ACOS keywords campaigns. The next step is to look at the high ACOS keyword campaigns, and among those, separate them into groups that you consider important versus less important. Now, you can simply pause or reduce bids for the less important ones, but deciding what to do with the more important ones is going to be more difficult. So, in order to help to decide this, you need to consider your organic rank, your PPC conversion rate, and of course, the number of orders. So the criteria for pausing significantly or dropping the bids to campaign keywords can involve not getting many orders out of it, low conversion rate, poor organic rank. So if your organic rank is good, you could consider whether you want to reduce the spend and still maintain a reasonably good rank. But of course, it's going to take some vigorous testing to make sure that it's up to par. Next part here. When you have listings with variants, consider focusing the advertising on a single one. Under some circumstances, this is, especially when the ASINs are in different ad groups. This can help signal the effectiveness of the ASIN to Amazon's algorithm more effectively rather than spreading the history among multiple ASINs. But we need to prioritize keeping that ASIN always, it must stay in stock to the best of your ability. Okay, so you may also consider reducing pausing advertising on entire products. This can reduce spend or allow you to allocate that spend to more important targets. You might consider merging some of these listings in the process so that your advertising budget can be focused on a single ASIN that will now drive the traffic to the larger set of ASINs. You're also going to need to make difficult decisions about the expensive top of search placements for sponsored products. So in cases where you need PPC to support your organic rank, you may choose to continue advertising even with high ACOS. In this case, you may need to intelligently reduce the selection of keywords that you're going for in order to reduce the number of keywords with high ACOS. So with the reduced set of PPC target campaigns or the reduced bids, you'll need to monitor your total sales and your TACOS. And secondary to that, you can look at managing your BSR and look at, of course, your organic ranking. Now, depending on those results, you're going to adapt as need be. The last part of that is we've got to look at the transition rate. So you might want to reduce your TACOS gradually to minimize the disruption, right? So for example, if you're trying to reduce it by 6%, you might aim to decrease that by 2% per month for 3 months. So there's kind of a more in-depth overview. I'm just going to break it down into the key takeaways now. So if you want to jot this down. So first thing we discussed about is one, where to focus, your bottom line, profit, or your top line, which is your revenue. Point number two is the translation of your TACOS aims. Okay, so which are influenced by your product margins. Number three, consider setting your TACOS aims by listing if aiming for granularity as a single child may bring in all of the sales. And number four, if you're planning on improving the bottom line versus cutting ad spend, be mindful of all the trade-offs. So we'll go through these key points of the trade-offs here. So continually spend on your high conversion rate and low ACOS keyword campaigns, which pretty much is a given. You want to look at high ACOS keyword campaigns and group them by importance. You can reduce the bids or pause them. This is not easy to decide, but look at the conversion rate, the number of orders, and your organic rank. If your organic rank is good, you could test reducing the bids, but again, you're going to need to handle that with care. Under some circumstances, listings with variants, you could run ads on just one rather than spreading the ad history on those variations in multiple ad groups. Then you're maximizing the signal to the algorithm, but you must avoid stockouts. You could pause ads on entire products to free up budget, but more important listings. But if they're bringing in low yield, you could spend more with the right levers on your hero products. But there again, that's an area you're going to need to test. On sponsored products, you need to make tough decisions of top of search campaigns. These may be propping up your organic search, and if so, even if they're higher ACOS, you can look at the more important ones, and then you would work out if and when to trade off, if any, there. Okay. Now you've worked on your trade-offs, you want to monitor your TACOS and your total sales, and secondary to that, you want to look at your organic rankings and your BSR. Now, doing all these and moving all these levers, there is going to come to a point is how do you approach this, right? You've got to look at the transition. You don't want to do this hard to cut all at once. You're looking at a tapering effect, right? So for the transition, you may want to do this over 3 months to minimize your disruption. So if you want to reduce your TACOS by 6%, then look at reducing 2% per month. And then you want to find the pocket on maintenance. Be careful here is there's one thing to set that, hey, I want to reduce this by 4, 6, 10%. You have to be realistic with your aims and goals. I often hear people go, well, I feel like this. I feel like my campaign could do better. Feelings and facts are two different things. You've got to work with the data that you have on hand, and you've got to measure carefully the changes that you make over time. Breadcrumbing, we call it, is when you're documenting this stuff and then you're plotting this out to make these changes. Making swift changes every other day is not going to help your plight. You're going to go up and down like the stock exchange. And what you may end up doing is ruin everything that you've built on that side of things because you've not tracked all of your changes prior to that. So hopefully you found that useful today. Don't forget, grab some tickets for Seller Sessions Live in London and Branded by Women. Branded by Women is on the Friday. We've got a lot of the female speakers in the space will be flying over. It's going to be hosted, of course, by my co-hosts, Sharon and Izabela. And then on the Saturday, we'll have Seller Sessions Live. We've got Tamir flying in. We've got Adam Heist flying in and a load of other people that you obviously know about in the space. Tickets are at live.sellersessions.com, and you also have brandedbywomen.com. I think we had about 35-40 general mission tickets left there. We sold out the super early birds, we sold out of the early birds, so we're down now to general mission, and I think we're branded by women, we've got about 80 or 90 tickets left for that. Any of you guys heading over to Vegas, I will be doing a party with Fortunate that will take place on the Tuesday at Skyfall. So that will be a free party for 7 and 8 figure sellers. It kicks off at 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. Then doesn't clash with all the other parties. And if you've been walking around the show all day or in the content rooms, you can come over, have some drinks, get fed, and yours truly will be DJing for 3 hours, playing classic hip hop and R&B. Come over, get to chill, come up to there where I'll be DJing on the veranda. There's a little back area. Pop in, say hello. There'll be information released soon in order to get put onto the list for that. Until then, hopefully Sharon will be back tomorrow. She's been off ill. Hopefully we'll see a speedy return from her. Izabela will be back Monday, and then I'll see you Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Much love, and I'll see you all again.